Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias, and welcome back to Ted's Case. Today, we are taking out this bad boy. Huge thank you to Ted for lending me all of this stuff and allowing me to make videos on it. I really do appreciate it. This is the Hazetac Zen Jigsaw, which as far as I know, is a jigsaw, but with Zen pins. That's what I can infer based on the name. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. Who knows? But this thing is super interesting because this is a balisong that absolutely broke my brain the first time that I tried it. I tried it when Ted sent it out to me. It had to have been about 3 years ago at this point. And opening and making the following videos on the jigsaw was an experience. And you can go back and watch those videos. It really was a trip for me because I almost single-handedly credit this balisong for teaching me about weight distribution. When I first opened it up, it flipped so weird because I couldn't feel any noticeable weight hotspots. Up until that point, I was used to having balisongs where you can feel the weight in the ends of the handles or in the tip of the blade, or the handles were just really heavy in general. And with the Hazetac Jigsaw, none of that. It just felt neutral. And it made me really dig into the fact that the way that the weight is distributed through the handles, if there's hot spots or if there isn't, can really affect how a balisong flips. Up until that point, I was really just, oh, it's handle biased or it's blade biased, and that is basically it. And it was this balisong that redefined all of that for me and helped me learn about weight distribution in such a big way. And what I've been most interested to check out is, now that I know everything that I know, hundreds of balisongs worth of experience under my belt, does this thing still feel as weird as it did before? And was I right in the ways that I evaluated it? Was it actually so weird that it kicked off this new age of me thinking? Or was I just really inexperienced and this was unlike anything I had tried at that point? So this isn't going to be like a two-parter, first impressions, all that. I've already made videos on this. You can go back and check them out. This is just the Zen pin version, which shouldn't be too much different. But I want to see how much... yep. I want to see how much different it flips and how I evaluate it now based on all of my experience. Because I think before I said it was like dead neutral with no weight hotspots, and I can already tell you that that isn't the case. This has a lot of blade weight to it. I am feeling, I was right in saying that there's no weight hotspots in the handles. The handles feel almost perfectly uniform with very little momentum keeping them going at the end of each handle. But man, does that blade carry a lot of weight. Holy cow. You can kind of see me messing up because I'm putting almost too much oomph into my flipping when that blade is carrying just so much momentum. But yeah, I don't want to say I was dead on, because I wasn't. This does feel different than I remember it. But I can certainly see how this kind of restarted my thinking. And it's nice to not be pinched by the tang pin every 5 seconds that I flip it. So in that sense, it's very, very nice. But man, oh man, is this a weird, exceptionally weird balisong. Carries a ton of blade weight, which you might expect from just the full slab of metal surrounding this kind of really thin hole cutout part. Wow, dude. Fans and choker fans can be a little bit weird to get into, but once you do get into them, it just carries momentum like a dream. But all that blade weight can make it flip very, very weirdly. The blade doesn't really react in other ways that I expect it to. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it flips exactly like you expect it to, and it's kind of a dream. Other times, not so much. So, yeah, it's just a very, very fascinating balisong. This specific one, I don't know what's up with it, but it also just kind of feels sticky, like chalky almost. And I think that's down to the bead blast that they use. It's very interesting. The blade also kind of feels that way, but man, it's just, the blade is so thick. Look at the size of that channel. Look at the size of that spine. it is so thick. It carries so much weight. And I don't think I like it. I usually consider myself someone who enjoys more blade weight, but I think this is just too much. Too much to be like a competitive flipper that you learn tricks on. It's certainly fun. Fun in terms of something different than the rest of your collection, something to throw you off your game a little bit. Especially if you've been flipping nothing but handle bias knives like the cheese. This will definitely throw you off. And that's why it threw me off all those years ago, because I really had experience with like mainly handle bias stuff. So flipping something like this really throws you off your game. And I don't think I had the understanding of blade weight back then that I do now. But I can certainly see why the handles would throw me off so much, because they just feel like nothing. So while I've always thought of the Jigsaw as like this one in a thousand thing, the only Balisong that would have made me feel that way, I'm relatively confident that some other experiences that I would have gotten, something like even the Zippy Lucha, the new Zippy Lucha, kind of has this same experience where there's just so much weight. Actually, specifically the new Cycloid Live Blade has so much weight in the blade and so little in the handles that I think it would have delivered a very similar experience to this. So I certainly would have had that realization about weight distribution eventually. But thanks to the Jigsaw, I think it was much earlier than it otherwise would have been in my Balisong experience. And I think that that's pretty cool. That being said, man, it is so much different than I remember it. Because again, I didn't have that experience of blade weight. So it feels like what I remember, but just way more blade biased, which makes sense because I didn't really know how to pay attention to the weight of the blade back then. And now I do, which is super cool. It's super, super cool to go back and experience a Balisong like this, to see and show yourself how far you've come. I certainly recommend that someone do that. If there's an old Balisong that you haven't tried in a while and you feel like you progressed at flipping quite a bit, go back and try that Balisong again. It's one of the reasons why I still like flipping the Glider Arctic to this day, at least sometimes, just because it reminds me of how far I've come. You know, back when I made a review on YouTube saying that this was neutral, I can now feel just how wrong that is. But it just really puts into perspective how much you've grown and improved. And the Jigsaw has done that. So thank you to Ted for giving me that experience. Super cool to check this thing out again, especially being the Balisong that redefined my understanding of Balisong balance almost in general. And I guess I should explain that a little further, because it's not like this thing just like opened up my eyes. What this thing made me realize is, oh, there's like no weight hotspots here. So then I went back into all of my different Balisongs in my collection. I was like, okay, where's the weight hotspots? And I paid more attention to that. And I paid more attention to how it changed my interpretation of the balance and how the Balisong flipped and where those weight hotspots were. And through doing that over and over and over again, tens to hundreds of times, I have now gotten to the point that I am now, where I have so many different Balisongs and weight distributions and balance points in my head that it really helps with figuring out and pinpointing the balance and weight distribution of new Balisongs that I've never tried before. And having flipped this thing for a few more minutes now, it's definitely starting to break in a little bit. So I think this is a Balisong that with a little bit of practice, you can actually kind of really go crazy with, especially if you're someone who likes those more fan-based tricks. You know, like your cream sodas out there. I think you could kind of pop off on this thing. But yet another trip down memory lane. Huge thank you to Ted for facilitating that experience, and a huge thank you to you guys for watching. I will see you all in the next one. Later.